So I wanted to really talk to you about how did you think we did? What are some of the important accomplishments from your perspective that Wings has been able to achieve?
I think that the first thing, and first of all, I cannot take any credit for having started Wings with you. I was a fellow traveler, and I try to be as supportive and helpful as possible. I certainly don't stand shoulder to shoulder with you. So that's number one. Uh, that said, I think number two, I think one of the biggest accomplishments with any kind of startup situation, and this really was a startup situation, was to build up the core leadership. And, building a core leadership in our case was trying to find people who were going to be willing to roll up their sleeves and really do some work. And whether it's on the fundraising, marketing side, we needed everything, right? And so, and within that, we needed to make sure that at the beginning that we wouldn't get kind of too caught up with disagreements. And so we wanted to find people that, as part of the core leadership, the chemistry would click, so that at least that part of it wouldn't be a stumbling block. And I think we did that. And so to this day, 4.5 years later, I think we have the leadership infrastructure in place to, I would say we're at a point of liftoff.
Yeah, I agree, right? I mean, I think that the most important thing for any organization to grow and get established and deliver what the mission is all about is to have an amazing leadership. And we were very fortunate to have some early members of Wings who joined us and really helped us in on every aspects of what we needed, not just the program, even to get off the ground. So, Bob, also last a couple of weeks ago, we as the board had an offsite, which we always do every year in January, which is a good starting point for us for the year. And you made an announcement that you are going to step down. And you know that it took me several months to accept that possibility. You kept working on me and saying, yes, yes, yeah, no, I have to do it. I have to do it. Um, Talk to us about where we are now in terms of new leadership and how did you make that decision?
Well, I think that it's important to have new blood on a regular basis. And my role as the board chair has been there from inception. And so, so in terms of new blood, that applies to the board members and to the board chair. And I thought that this is the right time for me to step down and to yield that role to someone else, in large part because we are at a good place, but also recognizing my own strengths and weaknesses, that where the organization is and poised to go now really demands and requires different kinds of leadership, different strengths than what I come with. And so, this is not unusual. You see this in corporate world where, a founder may have to yield to someone who's more of a manager. And so not quite the same, but, the different kind of leadership that, that will take this organization to the next level is not something that plays to my strength. And so, and because we're in a good place, it's not that disruptive for me to step down. So for those reasons, I said, okay, this is the right time. And so I was happy, thrilled that a couple of our board members have decided to step up, not as a sole board chair, but as co-chairs of the board of Wings. And that's so exciting because not only do each of them have strengths that can really play to what the future requires, but together they are just a powerful leadership team.
Yes, and we have a man and a woman combination, which is a very strong message that this partnership is extremely important as women are accelerating to the leadership role. You are such an empathetic leader. I think that empathy is your strength. You are a teacher, just like I feel one day I want to be a teacher. You're truly a teacher at heart, and bringing this whole entire leadership together was something was possible because of your strengths and what you brought to the table. So we thank you for that. Also, let's take some victory laps. Let's talk about what we as a team have accomplished under your leadership.
Well, again, I want to make sure that the credit goes to you, but again, in a supporting role, we began with a cohort of a handful of mentees, and today we're on our fifth cohort, working on our sixth, and we've graduated almost just about 50 mentees. So that's huge if you think about it, and many of these have amazing testimonials about what Wings and how Wings has transformed their lives, not just professionally, but personally. So in terms of the growth of what we've called our core or signature program, it's just an amazing growth that is touching a lot more lives. Alongside that is the growth in the mentors. And so we've had very senior level mentors come through our programs, about 70 of them over the years. And many of them have continued on as mentors, not just once, but twice, sometimes three times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And within those, we've had mentors who have continued to help in a formal role as a board member. So again, just a tremendous growth in the kinds of reach that we have, both mentees and mentors. We have, again, maybe I shouldn't say we, but under your leadership, we have developed a whole Wings neighborhood webinar series that have attracted, through the pandemic, over 100 participants, most of whom didn't know us, but came to us through social media and word of mouth. And we had a number of topics that were quite timely and meaningful during the pandemic, whether it's about upskilling, whether it was about re-entering the labor force. So these were things that, again, some things that have extended our reach and our influence and our impact.
Yeah, and I think you're giving me credit, but honestly, it's an amazing teamwork is how we do things at Wings, right? Our board members aren't there just to meet every once in 2 months and look at the financials and operationally just make sure everything is good. They all roll up their sleeves. Most of them are mentors, right? And each of them have taken on functional role. So this is no one person's job. I think this is what the best thing about the culture at Wings, that we have a very organic growth. Mentors become board members, mentees become champions, and hopefully soon they become mentors. So to me, I think, and a lot of these mentors stay year after year. That's a great validation of what they must really like about in the program. So yes, it's a teamwork, and we're really excited about what we now have for us in 2021, despite a very bad, or I would say not as desirable, 2020.
And I think you mentioned a really important word there, which is culture. And that's something that's really hard to define. It's even, especially as a new organization, hard to build. But I think we do have a very distinct culture that helps us to attract the kind of people that we want to attract. And a lot of that culture revolves around having a social impact beyond just the people that we know immediately in our circles. It also includes a culture of pay it forward. And so to the extent that our mentees can, as part of our capstone project, mentor someone else, take it back to their workplace, to their community, to their houses of worship, or to bigger social causes. I mean, all this is good because, because of our culture, they will be agents of change wherever they end up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just wanted to, I don't know if you've realized that 2 weeks ago, I was working on the master contact database, and we now have approximately 200 plus active members of Wings for Growth, whereas we
Oh,
started
wow.
with 5, right? So that's totally awesome. And then we have 50, 60 plus volunteers working on many different streams, and they keep coming back to do work with us. Hopefully, in the process, they are also getting what they want, which is not only paying it forward, but also learning, because we are a very professional organization as a nonprofit. So let's talk about, Bob, I always value your ability to have a very strong vision and being able to build a foundation for that vision, which I know that you're not going anywhere. You're staying here. You will be part of our advisory council. So we will continue to pick your brains and seek your advice. Let's talk about that a little bit. What do you think Wings needs to focus in next 5 years? What's your vision for Wings as you leave the being a co-chair but still remain on advisory council?
Well, the easy part of it is in terms of vision, not in terms of execution, but the easy part of the vision is really to scale. Yeah. And to scale in a way that we will have geographic reach to other parts of the country, perhaps reach beyond the borders of this country. So clearly we're speaking to a need that exists. And so that need does not reside only on the two coasts of this country, right? So that's one part of the vision. I think the other part of our vision that you helped to formulate was to train mentors to be excellent mentors. We have been blessed to have attracted a lot of very senior, high-achieving leaders to become mentors in our program, but not all high-achieving folks are good mentors. And that just speaks to, and you can see this in other spheres of activity, whether it's sports or cultural activities, where oftentimes the coach or the mentor is not necessarily a high achiever themselves. So, I don't know a lot about basketball, but I do know that some of the top coaches in professional basketball were themselves really not the best players, right? And the opposite is true. Some of the best players have not really proven to be good coaches. And so that just speaks to a need for excellent mentors. And so your idea of being able to develop a mentoring institute, I think that's a key component of our vision, where it'll magnify, amplify, and multiply the impact that we can have, because to the extent that we can have great mentors helps us to scale and have a lot more mentees who become great leaders, right? And of course, in all this, the other piece of this, of course, is having more partnerships, Wings having more partnerships with corporate entities, which we have begun, with academic institutions, with other nonprofits, which we have also begun in earnest, and perhaps with government agencies, even international NGOs. So all these partnerships will create a huge ecosystem for bringing women into more leadership roles than ever before.
Wow, that's an amazing vision. I hope we can live up to it. But as you said, we have already begun some of it. So I think, and you leave this in a great leadership's hands. So absolutely, I hope that we will achieve that. And again, as you mentioned that we already started to partner with corporates, because our mentees are going to go back to work, and the work culture will play a bigger role on how we quickly we get these women to accelerate. So that partnership is not only important financially for us, but also it's important for to further our mission as quickly as we can. Without corporate partnership, it will become difficult. And I think one of the biggest things that has, in my opinion, the biggest milestone that we're about to achieve under your leadership is to be able to partner with educational institutions so that we can offer this program for graduate level credits. We're very close to announcing that. I'm looking forward to that. And that's a huge milestone. And more importantly, a big validation of the work that we're doing and how we're doing it.
Yeah, in fact, that has to be a really exciting step forward. In fact, you know this, which is the provost of the university that we hope to announce a partnership with very soon, commented that he was impressed by how well organized and how professional our program struck him. Yeah. And so, we're not the first partner for this university, but it was great to get that kind of feedback.
Yeah, and I think you know this, Bob, that this Wings for Growth is not only a purposeful journey for me, but it's very emotional, a bonding with my dad, who asked me to start doing this. My father, who passed away a few years ago, and I feel that now I can at least say, yes, I started it. We have plenty more to go, but we started on a right track, and what we have accomplished shows that we can accomplish more, I think.
Absolutely.
So with that, I again really want to thank you, Bob, for all what you have done. And it gives me a whole lot of relief that you're not going anywhere. You're staying with us. This is about giving other members of the board opportunities to bring new ideas by being chair or co-chair. So we welcome Lynne Sawyer and Ravi Mohan. Lynne is the managing director at Bank of New York Mellon, and Ravi Mohan is a COO for NICA Partners. Under both of their leadership and their corporate experience, 2021 is going to look very promising to me.
Absolutely. And not only 2021, but 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025.
Yes. So thank you again, Bob. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. And let's stay in touch and stay safe and healthy.